Good morning. Okay, let's get the truth out there. I didn't say Donald Trump endorsed Jasmine Crockett. I put endorsed in quotes. I need to share with you Jasmine Crockett's ad that dropped last night announcing her run for U.S. Senate in Texas. And you will see why I said Donald endorsed her. Let's go.
How about this new one they have, their new star, Crockett? How about her?
She's the new star of the Democrat Party, Jasmine Crockett. They're in big trouble.
But you have this woman, Crockett. She's a very low IQ person.
I watched her speak the other day. She's definitely a low IQ person.
Crockett. Oh, man. Oh, man.
She's a very low IQ person.
Somebody said the other day she's one of the leaders of the party. I said, you got to be kidding.
Now they're going to rely on Crockett. Crockett's going to bring them back.
I love it. Now they're going to rely on Crockett. Crockett's going to bring them back. Hell yes, people. I have loved Jasmine Crockett since I first saw her speak, like you, on television in the U.S. House. And I happened to actually meet her in person. I think I've probably mentioned this like once, twice, or a million times to you. I met her in Atlanta in the summer of 2024 when I was down there for the ill-fated debate between Donald Trump and Joe Biden. And she was there as one of the campaign surrogates. And we happened to be on one of these vans shuttling folks between a hotel and the venue. Lovely person, really funny, and really smart, of course. And I'd like to share with you some of our favorite moments with Jasmine Crockett, some of the best things. Oops. I'm sorry, guys. I got to get this to the beginning here. Hold on, guys. I'm ready. Let's share this. Okay, guys. Let me blow this up. Oh, sorry, guys. It's not. I thought I was sharing. Here.
We are going to move and we're going to take.
I got it. Okay, here we go.
Do you know what we're here for? You know we're here about.
Can you hear this now?
I don't think you know what you're here for.
Well, you the one talking about.
I think your fake eyelashes are messing up.
No, ain't nothing.
Hold on.
Listen.
Order. Mr. Chairman.
That's beneath even
Order. Get the order of your committee.
Order. I do have a point of order, and I would like to move to take down Ms. Green's words. That is absolutely unacceptable. How dare you attack the physical appearance of another person?
Are your feelings hurt?
Her words down. Oh, girl, baby girl.
Oh, really?
Don't even play.
Baby girl?
We are going to move, and we're going to take your words down.
I second that motion.
I'm just curious, just to better understand your ruling. If someone on this committee then starts talking about somebody's bleach blonde, bad built butch body, that would not be engaging in personalities, correct?
A what now?
Chairman, I make a motion to strike those words.
I don't think that's
Hold on.
part of
I'm trying to find clarification on what quality.
Chairman, motion to strike those
I had no idea
words.
what you just said.
We're not gonna do this. Look, you guys earlier literally just.
You just voted to do it.
Okay, guys. You get the idea there. Now, that's how she plays. She doesn't put up with Marjorie Taylor Greene's nonsense. And she's consistent. While we fawn, not me, but while some of us at times, I would say maybe me, fawn over the fact that on occasion, Marjorie Taylor Greene says something right, Jasmine Crockett says something right, something good, something helpful for us 99% of the time. Marjorie Taylor Greene does it once, and all of a sudden she is in the spotlight as maybe a friend of the Democratic Party. No, my friends, she is not. Now, I want to, without going through every fabulous thing Jasmine Crockett has said, I want to draw attention to the fact that Donald Trump has been consistently, aggressively misogynistic, very hateful toward women, and especially toward Black women, right? So I want to share with you something Nicole Wallace put together of Donald Trump's misogyny. Here we go.
Scott today, quote, obnoxious and terrible. December 6th, he called Caitlin Collins, quote, stupid and nasty. On November 27th, he said, are you stupid? To CBS journalist Nancy Cortez. On November 26th, he called the New York Times' Katie Rogers, quote, ugly. On November 18th, he called ABC's Mary Bruce terrible and insubordinate, to whom I'm not sure. November 14th, he told a Bloomberg reporter, quote, quiet piggy. This is sick shit. This is sick. And anyone in the room is in the room to do a job.
Wait. Did someone say quiet piggy? I think that means I'm legally obligated as a designer of a shirt that is available on Zazzle now. I mean, I don't think Zazzle even knows, to show you, hello, quiet piggy, give me a moment. Here it is. I can get these, of course. Here we go. Boop, 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 boop. Quiet piggy. Boop, boop, boop. Quiet piggy. Okay, now back on with the show. Let's continue.
For their viewers or their readers, but they should go home tonight and think about whether their sisters or their daughters or their moms or their sons or their husbands or their fathers think that there's something else they should do the next time he calls a female journalist obnoxious, terrible, stupid, nasty, stupid, ugly, terrible, insubordinate, or piggy. Because maybe if Donald Trump can't live without being on TV, and maybe if they said, you know what, we're going to have some solidarity like they did with him wanting to change the names of oceans. I mean, we're either going to normalize this, and then you're going to hear all sorts of prominent people calling women all sorts of names. I'm sure by the time I get off TV, I'll have a few of those myself. But we're either going to normalize this and usher in an era of unprecedented misogyny, or that press corps is going to act as one and say no more.
Thank you, Nicole. But this is their whole project. In the ideology that the Republican Party now supports, and that Donald Trump helps them promote, women are instruments for their use, period, in any way they choose, for reproduction of their children, for servicing their physical needs for free, for pay. Even girls are there to be raped and abused. That's why they're not releasing the Epstein tapes. We will see in files. We will see what happens, because there aren't many more days before they have to come out. I think we are pretty close. I think it was about, around December 20th-ish or mid-December, all the files should come out. Women are here to be seen if we are presentable in a way they want us to be, but not to be heard unless we are heard praising the men in accordance to the hierarchy under which we live. This is antiquated, backward thinking, and here we are in America. And if you don't believe me, I want to share, well, I know you probably do, Let's share a moment here. Yesterday, when Sean Duffy, the Secretary of Transportation, is hanging out with RFK Jr., who is nominally, I mean, literally, but shouldn't be, the Secretary of Health and Human Services. They're hanging out at an airport, talking about all the good things airports can offer. And you really wish, this cringy, I really wish, I'm sorry if you haven't had breakfast. I'm actually more sorry if you had, but this is so cringe and so degrading to women. And I don't care if there are a few women who like it. That's not the point, generally speaking. Let me play this.
All of the ingenuity of corporate America, all the resources, all the resourcefulness has not produced an infant formula that is superior in nutrition and all the qualities that we want to the mother's breast. We at HHS are encouraging mothers.
Hold on one second. A divine being is not generating, is not creating lactation. That's a biological force. It's very complicated. And not all women, not after birth, not all people are able to lactate. It's just a fact. Some children, some babies are premature, and it's actually impossible. And I think this obviously should be the choice of the mom as to whether they will nurse. I'm not going to get personal about my particular choices, but they were my choices. And yes, I think personally, nursing is the best you can offer your babies, but not everybody can physically. Not everybody wants to, and not everybody's jobs economically allow for this, or not everybody's medical condition can. There are some people who have to get right back on medication and cannot do so. And to take away, and also it's just the idea of comparing a production process through the corporate realm to what happens for women in their bodies. And emotionally, nursing is a very particularized thing. But okay, let's continue and listen to this red-faced, current drug using, according to Olivia Nuzzi, his sex friend, guy who is the color of the hot dogs that you see still spinning at 2 a.m. on the rack at a 7-Eleven. Tell us about what's healthy. Let me continue.
Others to breastfeed as long as possible, because there is no better food for your brain, for your gut microbiome, for your physical growth, for your emotional growth, than what's in God-given breast milk. And
okay, it's not God-given, and it's not even. And the thing is, if people actually care about moms having a choice to nurse, they should have paid leave. I think what he's talking about here, I think you probably have noticed, is that there are lactation rooms at airports. Great. And women should have the choice to use a lactation room or just nurse in the airport, wherever they are comfortably. Okay, cool. Now, it doesn't get any better with Duffy. It gets worse and more misogynistic. You got to listen to this.
I hear my wife talk a lot about, again, she traveled all throughout having our 9 kids, and she would always complain about the lack of facilities when she wanted to nurse. And it's maybe a little odd for, 3 guys to talk about nursing and options for nursing. But Isabel Brown, who's a content creator, a young mother with a young baby who travels all the time, is one of many moms who have reached out to complain about the lack of facilities that actually operate, facilities that are clean. And
oh my God. First of all, Isabel Brown, that was the annoying person we saw the other day on CNN. Do you remember? Having an argument with Charles Blow and denying that the racist gerrymandering was based on race. Remember her? Now she's showing up on this video. Okay, let's continue.
And so,
oops, sorry. Anyhow, it is cringy. There's a moment where he says it's a little weird that we have a bunch of men standing around talking about nursing, right? And sorry, guys, I realized I had put my mic down when I took my jacket off, and I might have sounded bad, and I was a little distracted. Okay, so that is really not what we need. And I got to tell you, women need to be more represented, period. It's not just the project of the Republican Party to make everybody barefoot and pregnant and nursing through their whole adult life, and not in the public sphere, unless they're in the public sphere to boost the men they're supposed to boost or lie for them. It's not just that, because there's something else happening. I noticed that today there are going to be some briefings of the so-called Gang of Eight. And when I say briefings, I mean about the strike on the fishermen on September 2nd and the continuing murdering of fishermen in the Caribbean and the Pacific by the U.S. government. And I want to point this out because what's important is these briefings are going to continue. And specifically, there is a broader briefing of this group that called the Gang of Eight. And you might be wondering, who exactly is the Gang of Eight, and what kind of briefing are they getting? So the deal is, let's first start with what kind of briefing. Today, apparently, Pete Hegseth, Pete Kegsbreth, the defense secretary, also the chairman of the Joint Chiefs, General Dan Kane, and Secretary of State Marco Rubio are supposed to be briefing the Gang of Eight. Also, Alvin Holsley, the guy from the Southern Command, who was sort of left out of this process, not really in this chain of command about the killing of the fishermen, he will also be separately briefing some of these folks, a group of these folks. But okay, so who is the Gang of Eight? Well, it's 8 men, 8 of them. There are the leaders of the House Intelligence Committee, the leaders of the Senate Committee on Intelligence Committee, and then we have the House leaders and the Senate leaders. So who are they? Rick Crawford is the Republican member of the House. Jim Himes, who I like, the Democrat from from Connecticut. Those are the 2 House members on intelligence. Then we have Tom Cotton, the Republican who on the Senate, the Republican leader of the Senate Intelligence Committee, and then Mark Warner of the Senate Intelligence Committee, who has really been a guy who keeps saying, let's be bipartisan about everything, but maybe actually putting his foot down. I don't know. And then our House leaders are, of course, Mike Johnson, Speaker, Hakeem Jeffries, the Minority Leader, and then John Thune, the Senate Majority Leader, and then Chuck Schumer, the Minority Leader. I have a problem with this. I really do. Why aren't there more people? Why aren't there more women and trans women in leadership positions, or even in the Senate or in the House? We need to do better across the board. And no, I'm not saying that you just choose someone who is a woman who is not qualified, but for God's sakes, more than 50% of the adult population in the United States are women. It seems a little weird that so few of them are in leadership positions and not one of them will be in on that briefing. So yeah, we got a lot of work to do. Now, let's talk about people. This one happens to be a woman who just lie for a living, and that is Carolyn Leavitt. I need to show you what she had to say about soybeans, because here's the deal. Donald Trump's strategy with the tariff war has been such a failure that not only are prices going up, but our farmers now need a bailout. Yes, indeed, Trump is offering or promising $12 billion in aid to struggling farmers. That is this rescue package Trump has promised, $12 billion. And also, he's announcing that President Xi is now agreeing to buy soybeans again. So let's hear what Carolyn Levitt had to say, had to lie about, and then we will fact check her.
Another huge win for our farmers following his successful meeting with President Xi in South Korea, where Trump convinced President Xi to continue purchasing or begin purchasing again American soybeans, which is something China wasn't doing under the last administration because they had no respect for our president.
Okay. That is such a flipping lie. I can only prove how inaccurate it is by actually sharing my screen with you and showing you. Here we go. This is Farm Doc Daily from University of Illinois. So illinois.edu. And I'm sure you love to read Farm Doc Daily. But even if you don't, these are U.S. soybean exports. Total. So the blue is a total, which includes the exports we make to China, right? And the red is just China. So I think you can see in 2024, when Joe Biden was president, 26.8 million metric tons. 26.8 million metric tons of soybeans were shipped to China. Carolyn Levitt said that China did not buy soybeans during the Biden administration. I am showing you 21, 22, 23, and 24 from a range of as low as 26.4 million metric tons all the way to 30.2. I am confused because there was actually a year, do you see this, in 2018 during the Trump presidency when it was down to 8.2. Anyway, so I am looking at these numbers and it baffles me why someone did not just cut away at that moment. I mean, here she is.
For the country at the time.
Well, it's Newsmax. I would have cut away and said, excuse me, or cut her mic. I think that, with all due respect, press secretary, I'm not saying what you're talking about because these numbers from the Illinois, these numbers from the Farm Doc Daily indicate that, in fact, there were steady purchases from China of soybeans from the U.S. And so I'm confused. I'm guessing that someone gave you incorrect information. Could you tell us who that is? And if you can't, don't go back to them for that information. That would be helpful. The other thing I'd like to point out is what my friend, professor at Dartmouth College, Brooke Harrington, said, which is, this is a little weird. Since when does a nation decide what products, what materials, what services it should buy based on its respect for the leader? Because it would indicate to me that the respect for Donald Trump was pretty low in 2018. But actually, it was the tariff problem. Donald Trump never learns his lesson, ever. So now his tariffs are requiring a $12 billion bailout, which he'll continue to lie about, and people will repeat at their corner bars, in the kitchens, in their brains, that these lies. But the fact is, yes, China was buying soybeans from the U.S. during the Biden administration. Okay, so now we know that. Now I got more for you. Okay, let's talk a little bit about this bailout plan. I want you to see I'm not making this up. And this part, she isn't even making up. Okay, so here is the true story. Trump offered farmers $12 billion bailout as a result of the trade war. Let's play. Oops. Let's wait. I think we're going to skip the ad. Here we go. President Trump. Oops, here we go.
As you know, the farmers like me, because based on voting trends, you could call it voting trends or anything else, but they're great people. They're the backbone of our country.
So yeah, China did halt purchases of U.S. farm products to retaliate against, it's a fact, to retaliate against our tariffs. And now they're saying it's a sign, this bailout is a sign that his trade policies are not working. I don't think Trump is seeing it as a sign. I think he's just pushing through it. So here's this article from yesterday, 3 bylines, Alan Rappaport, Kevin Draper, and Anna Swanson. Okay, folks, I'm coming back here. Here's this byline. And what does it say? President Trump rolled out a $12 billion bailout for struggling farmers on Monday as he looks to shore up the finances of some of his most loyal supporters whose financial fortunes have been hurt by his trade war. The rescue package, and I'm reading this, you guys, which was unveiled at an event with farmers at the White House, comes as Mr. Trump's trade policies have hurt America's agriculture sector. While Mr. Trump plans to raise tariffs, was intended to spur domestic production and open export markets, it has actually closed off sales for many U.S. farmers. And then China, of course, retaliated. Who could have predicted? Everybody. Everybody could. Many did. And now the farmers come hat in hand to the White House, sucking up to Donald Trump. Let's watch this.
At night, putting him to bed, and he said, Dad.
Hold on. This is a guy talking about his son on Christmas.
Story at night, putting him to bed, and he said, Daddy, I don't want Santa Claus to come to our house for Christmas. I want President Trump.
I'm speechless.
And I think, Mr. Trump, I think you brought Christmas to farmers. With this bridge payment, we'll be able to farm another year, help us get by. It's such an honor to be here with you.
I just would not want Donald Trump coming to my house for Christmas. This man who hung out, you would want him around your children, who was best friends with the world's most prolific, disgusting, and maybe even was murdered by Trump, or at least wasn't protected in prison, pedophile in world history, trafficker of children. You would want him to come to your child's house for Christmas, but I understand they have to beg now. Okay, guys. Now, a couple other things that are pretty cool. You may have seen that there is a major bidding war for Warner Brothers. Now, for me, as someone who teaches corporations, including a section of the class on mergers and acquisitions, super excited this is happening now, because when the semester begins in January, this gives me a fresh battle to talk about. So I want to share with you what's going on here. And it's not your normal kind of contest, your normal kind of bidding war and tender offer directly to the shareholders, and these kinds of fights that are fascinating and are governed by are governed largely usually by Delaware law, because most places are incorporated there. It could be fascinating on its own, but it's also equally interesting because of the level of corruption and crony capitalism involved. So let's share with you first what's going on here when the news broke. I think I can do this. Let's play.
We're just getting headlines, Keith. I know you got to run, but Paramount is offering a $30 all-cash offer and saying that the equities be backstopped by the Ellison family. So Paramount offering to buy Warner Brothers for $30 a share in cash, as had been reported. Remember, the Netflix deal is for $27.75, and that's cash and stock. But of course, Paramount wants to buy the entire company, and Netflix looking to split them up. So. Or Warner Brothers Discovery would split up before the Netflix deal. I think this is interesting because the Paramount offer isn't just the $30 a share, right? If Warner Brothers goes with Paramount, they'll also get a $5 billion breakup fee from Netflix. Is that right, Geetha?
Yeah, 5.8 billion to be exact. But the thing is, on the immediate face of it, Matt, the $30 is actually lower than what Netflix is offering. So Netflix, yes, they did offer 27.75 for the studio and streaming, but there is still some inherent value in the Discovery Global TV units. We calculate that to be about $4 a share. So you have the total value of Warner Brothers Discovery there at $32. So again, that offer is still superior to this Paramount offer at $30.
Okay, guys. So what's interesting here, specifically, even what's more interesting here is what's going on behind the scenes. So normally speaking, if a company is up for sale, right? In this case, we do have Warner Brothers, on the market, right? It is actively in a bidding process. And that means that the board of directors of Warner Brothers has to find, it has to abandon any hope of fending off offers. It's put itself, in a sort of situation where it was first in this close plan to have Netflix take over Warner Brothers. It has been receiving over the months bids from Paramount, all these other, any other suitor. And Warner Brothers board decided to choose the Netflix deal. And it's their job to, when the company is for sale, get the best deal possible for their shareholders. Warner Brothers board of directors has decided the Netflix deal is better. Paramount didn't like hearing the word no. And so they went over the heads of the board of directors of Warner Brothers and are appealing directly to the shareholders, saying, all shareholders of Warner Brothers, tender your shares to us and we will give you cash for them directly. So this is what is going on at the moment. Usually it's not that simple because there are these things called poison pills in place at the target company, such as at Warner Brothers. And in order for a company like Paramount to actually buy the shares without triggering these disastrous poison pills, they'll need to have the board lift them. And so there's going to be a ton of litigation, clearly. But what I want to share with you now is the reporting about the connections, of course, between Trump and the people at Paramount. Ellison, for example, who the owner of Skydance, right, who took over Paramount. This is the guy who's Larry Ellison's son. This is, a Nepo, billion-dollar Nepo baby. There's, of course, Donald Trump has maybe some skin in the game or some interest in Paramount getting Warner Brothers. Now, I want to share this screen with you so you can see this. Boop, boop, boop. Okay, here is the Wall Street Journal reporting on this. I think you can see this article. I'm not going to get too far into the weeds today. This is going to be an ongoing story, but I want to read you at least the headlines. This is the bylines here are Joe Flint, Brian Schwartz, and Natalie Andrews. Okay, headline. Behind Paramount's relentless campaign to woo Warner Discovery and President Trump, David Ellison has launched a hostile takeover bid for Warner Discovery, taking his case directly to the shareholders after Netflix cinched a deal. Okay, so this is Paramount. I'm reading from the article. Paramount chief executive David Ellison knew his latest bid for Warner Brothers Discovery was in trouble when this company's CEO, David Zaslav, started ghosting him. Paramount had spent the morning of December 4th, that was last Thursday, finalizing its sixth bid to acquire all of Warner, an all-cash bid, a $77.9 billion offer. But Paramount was worried that Warner had already settled on their preferred dance partner, Netflix. And here is a text from Ellison to Zaslav, right? Ellison is at Paramount, Zaslav is at Warner Brothers. Just tried calling you about new bid we have submitted, Ellison texted Zaslav. I heard you on all your concerns and believe we have addressed them in our new proposal. Please give me a call back when you can to discuss the detail. Discuss in detail, I'm sorry. He didn't hear back. Sensing trouble, Ellison, remember at Paramount, followed up saying Paramount had offered a package that covered all the issues Warner had raised, including the need for strong cash value and speed to close. That means closing the deal. It would be the honor of a lifetime to be your partner and to be the owner of these iconic assets, he texted, according to a regulatory filing. So there is David Ellison. On Friday, Ellison's concerns were realized. Warner and Netflix announced a deal for the streaming giant to acquire the iconic Warner and HBO properties for $72 billion, a proposed merger that could radically reshape entertainment. And a little more, Ellison's father, billionaire Oracle co-founder Larry Ellison, a Trump ally, called the president after the Netflix deal was announced and told him the transaction would hurt competition, according to a White House official in person familiar with the matter. So we have this, and this is kind of what's going on here. Once again, the White House is involved, perhaps, in this deal. And there's more, of course, with this. Apparently, Jared Kushner is involved. Of course he is. Jared is, of course, involved in the background here. And he is, he apparently has emerged in this brawl. I'm going to share this with you. Let's take a look. I mean, it's kind of unbelievable what's going on here. Okay, so we have, this is from Fortune. Jared Kushner suddenly emerges in the Warner brawl between Paramount and Netflix, backed by Saudi billions and fresh off brokering another mega deal. And we have Jared Kushner is involved. He basically, his fully owned private equity firm, Affinity Partners, is dealing with this. I need to find a better. Let me stop sharing this for a second. That we can't read further on that piece. So I want to talk to you a little more about this by sharing this, telling you about an Axios story. So this is what Axios, Dan Primark, says, that Jared Kushner is part of Paramount's hostile bid for Warner's Discovery. So it turns out, as they say, they went to Jared. Let me share the screen here so you can see. Yes, they did. There's Jared Kushner. So his private equity firm called Affinity Partners is part of the Paramount deal, according to this regulatory filing. And this is important because, again, Paramount's reaching out directly to the Warner Brothers Discovery shareholders saying, take our money. And there was announced yesterday that that part of this, not mentioned yesterday, was that Affinity Partners, Jared's firm, is part of this bid. So they are using sovereign wealth fund money from Saudi, Abu Dhabi, and Qatar. Now, it is kind of crazy that we're even having a discussion about this. It's bad enough that Fox, owned by Rupert Murdoch, who is from Australia, is controlling so much of the United States media market and the US voters' brains. And now we're going through this situation. I'll have more to say about consolidation in this industry, but I want to point out to you that it's a problem that Jared Kushner, the son-in-law of the president, stands to benefit tremendously if the deal from Paramount can go through, if they're able to get rid of poison pills and get directly to the shareholders and take over Warner Brothers. Now, of course, Warner Brothers directors, who are the people who are supposed to run, who are supposed to manage or supervise the business affairs of a company and make decisions for it. If the board of directors believes through a reasonable investigation and getting good advice and crunching the numbers that the Netflix deal is better for the shareholders, they should not give in to Paramount. But Donald Trump is now in the mix and could put all kinds of wrenches in the transaction involving Netflix, just so his son-in-law, Jared, and his friends over in Saudi Arabia can benefit. This is crony capitalism at its worst. But I got some, sort of inspirational news for you before we get to Crazy Town. And that is, together, going back to ICE raids, together, when we work together, we can help each other. Let's play this.
We heard that ICE had shown up at a local school. They were denied access, but folks were asked to show up later when the kids were getting picked up. About 60 of us ended up gathering around the school. We spread out and just hung out. It was actually nice, chatting with so many engaged people. At one point, someone spotted ICE parked a few blocks away. A mom and her daughter walked by us and gave us the most heartfelt thank you. And when the last kids were safely picked up, we all just drifted off. Someone said, I guess they didn't need us today, but the truth is, they did. ICE looked at that school, saw a community standing up for those families, and decided that it wasn't worth it. Our presence may have changed the outcome. Simply by showing up, we kept the family from having a very different, very painful day. You want to show up too? I have some information in the caption.
It's all about showing up for each other. Some major conglomerate will be created either with Netflix buying Warner Brothers or Paramount. And there's not much you and I can do about that. But what we can do is help each other. Now, my friends, it is absolutely time for Crazy Town. Okay. For Crazy Town, we need to go back to the airport. Yes, it was DCA, what some people call Reagan National, in DC, where we saw earlier on the program the kind of cringy misogyny here. And let's just let you know that what was also going on at that airport is something I just need to show you, because in this case, a picture paints 1,000 words. Let us go.
Yes, sir. Let's go. Get up there. Come on. Wants one more.
Yes. RFK attempting to do a single pull-up, which he almost accomplished, and then a half in the middle of the airport. Because they're suggesting, Sean Duffy, that not only should we dress up like in the olden days to fly, but we should wear suits and dresses and pantyhose and heels. Who knows what they think? On our airplanes, right? That's what they think. We should also have an opportunity to work out, to do a few pull-ups. Do you see? I just need to show you this again. Let's just watch.
Yes, sir.
Do you want to sit next to that guy with the sweaty armpits and the face that looks like the dried out shiny hot dog spinning on the grill at the 7-Eleven on your flight? Listen, guys, I just want my flight to be take off on time and land safely and have room for my legs and maybe a Coke Zero when I'm flying. That's all I want. I don't need people sweating in the airport next to me. But there's more. There is actually more to this.
Open on what airports want to ask for a grant, but it might be, I want to expand the play areas for kids. I want additional nursing pods for nursing mothers. Maybe I want a workout area where people might get some blood flow and doing some pull-ups or some step-ups in the airport. But it could be any range of things. Maybe you want to work, I know this is TSA, but we're going to help on this as well. Maybe you want to have a different lane for families to get through TSA. How can we make the experience better as you come through an airport? $1 billion is going to go to that.
I don't want a better experience at the airport. I want my planes not to crash, and I don't want to spend my life at an airport. Thank you very much. Anyway, thank you, I should say, for your attention to this matter. See you guys in the morning.
Hello, prison mates. It's the Taub show. Well, welcome everyone. Let's learn about what is happening in politics yesterday and today. There is hope, and we are together in this democracy we work for. And again, welcome to the Taub show.